Want a pocket-sized lunch? Welcome to At the Table. Today we are going to be making a Sloppy Joe Skillet, which is one of my all-time favorite recipes. And this is a really good one if you are looking for kind of going back to our series where we did swaps, healthy swaps. So trying to find things that maybe your family really enjoys, but trying to find a way to make them healthier for your family. Sloppy Joes were something we didn't eat a whole lot growing up. We did have them here and there, but this has been one of my staple recipes in the last 3 or 4 months that I just make probably every week to every other week because it's just that good. This is a recipe from one of my favorite bloggers, Lillie Eats and Tells, and all of her recipes to me are just very simple. They make a good amount of food, so this one makes 8 sandwiches. And they're also incorporate a lot of the things that we talk about here in Extension with utilizing those fresh fruits and vegetables, or frozen fruits and vegetables, and using whole grain ingredients, limiting salt, all of that. So excited to share this one with you guys. What we're gonna start with is I'm gonna show you guys how I sharpen my knives because I went to do this before we started and I was like, let me just show them what I do every time. So I'm one of those people, I have to have a sharp knife. And what we say here in Extension is a sharp knife is your best friend when you are cooking in the kitchen. So if you don't have a sharp knife, you tend to have to force to really cut something versus it being just a nice fluid movement. And when you're struggling and forcing, you tend to be more likely to hit something you don't intend to, such as your fingers. So I love to use just a little knife sharpener. I have these that I give out with any of my cooking programs as a sponsorship with United Way. They help me provide cool little incentives for you guys. And I get these typically at Walmart, or sometimes I'll get them on Amazon, but they're pretty cheap, $10, no more than that. And it's very simple. You just has 2 different numbers on it. So it's got a 1 and a 2, which tells you which one to go in first. So I typically go in through the 1 and then the 2. And I do this 3 to 4 times just to make sure that my knife is nice and sharp. Really easy, doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does yield a really nice sharp knife to help you get ready to cook in the kitchen. The other thing that you'll see a lot of the times is what we call a honing tool, which I don't use this a whole lot in my kitchen personally. I feel like the knife sharpener does a great job, but in between using those knife sharpeners, using your knife sharpener, you can use a honing tool. So for this, you hold this steady, you're just moving your knife, and you just rotate back and forth. Very easy, and it just helps to sharpen that up a little bit more, hone that knife in between uses, in between sharpening. So that is just how you sharpen your knife, little tool for you. We do lots of those when we do our programs with Extension, which is why it's so fun if you join us anytime we have a cooking program. So what we're gonna start with our recipe is our cutting our onion and bell pepper. So actually I'm gonna do our bell pepper first because we won't need that right away. So I always cut the top of my bell pepper off and then the bottom. And then I just like to rotate it along each side to get that core seed out. So then you don't have as much seed everywhere. Really easy to clean up and just cuts your bell pepper really nicely. And then you just push this out and you discard that. So you've got a lot of bell pepper to work with. And for this, I'm gonna cut it into small little pieces. Now you can use any bell pepper you wish. I went with yellow just because we've got tomato sauce and tomato paste, so we've got some red in there already. I think green would have been good as well, But I mention all the time that I like to eat a variety of colors, right? So if you're looking at a dish or at a recipe and you're trying to decide, you know, what color bell pepper should I add in, or even what color onion, going for that red onion or that other colorful vegetable will help to add more nutrients into your recipe, because different colors have different nutrients, different vitamins that are good for your body, which is why you hear us talk all the time about eating the rainbow. So this definitely helps with that. So just gonna keep on cutting this up into those nice little bite-sized pieces. I will finish this up and then we'll see you guys back in just 1 second to work on our onion next.
Whether you're returning from a family vacation, coming back from college, or even returning from serving our country, we know there's no place like home. And here at Performance Ford, we want to make sure you get there. That's why every Performance certified vehicle comes with the Performance Lifetime Powertrain Warranty. Performance Ford, welcome home.
Introducing the Star Communications app. All the tools you need in one convenient location. You can access Watch TV everywhere. Check local channel lineup. Check your Star email. View and pay your Star bill. Report troubles. Use your Star Security app. Check your home voicemail. Sign up for Crowd Fiber. Check your Wi-Fi speed. The list keeps going and going. Download for free from the App Store or Google Play.
All right, so we have our bell pepper chopped up. We're gonna move to our onion. And remember, anytime we cut our onions, we wanna make sure that we keep our hair, keep that root end, and we'll start cutting from this side. So we chop off, I guess that's the stem end, and then what we tend to do is cut in half, and then you just cut little slits. This is why a sharp knife is so important, because if your knife is not sharp enough, it makes it difficult to cut something like an onion that's a little bit more sturdy. And then I just work my way down, and it will already be in those nice little diced pieces for us. And then usually I rotate it once you get closer to the bottom. And we'll throw that away. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn my stovetop on over here to get that going, and add a little bit of oil. So if you have something like one of those little sprayers, like think of Misto is one of the brands, mine is a Pampered Chef, there's all kinds out there, but you put a little bit of oil in it and you pump it and spray. That's a really great thing to be able to use. I don't personally like cooking spray in the aerosol cans a ton to use for cooking like this. I usually just use that as a non-stick spray in the oven. But you could also just use your oil and pour that in just like that as well. So we're gonna go ahead and add this as our pan starts to heat up, and then we'll finish our onion out. Remember, you should always use the back of your knife as you're scraping food off, and that just helps to keep your knife nice and sharp. And this one is a strong onion today, so you might see some tears going on in just a minute. Once I get to a certain point that I don't feel comfortable continuing to cut that way, then I just rotate it and then just slowly turn my knife, my onion, I'm sorry. You want to try to get as much of that as possible. Okay. So we're gonna use our onion to just help flavor our pan, our oil a little bit, get our pan nice and really enhanced with those onions. My eyes are watering like crazy. All right, so we're gonna cut our garlic next, and we'll add this in a little bit later, but just so that it'll be nice and flavorful. You could absolutely use a little gadget to chop this up, or a garlic press. I just already have my knife out, so sometimes it's just a lot easier just to use what I've already got out and on hand. And that's all that we have for chopping. So you just have your onions, you have your garlic, and you have your bell pepper. So not a ton in terms of steps of cooking, of having to chop a bunch of stuff, which sometimes that can be a nice thing on a weeknight, right? Where you don't want to spend a whole lot of time in the kitchen, have a lot of dirty dishes to handle, or spend a lot of time chopping. So now that our onions are getting a little bit more cooked through, we'll start to add our bell pepper next. And we're just gonna cook those for, got an onion stuck on there, for just a minute or two to start getting them soft. And what we're using as our meat for this recipe is ground turkey. And preferably you want to choose that really lean turkey. So ground turkey is the same as ground beef in terms of grading it, fat to how much fat is in the meat. So you want to choose one that is like 93, 95% lean, if you can. It's smelling really good over here. So what I'm going to do is just make a little room. And we're gonna cook our turkey on the other side. So I've got, I had to use this for another recipe, and we had 3 pounds of turkey, of ground turkey. So this actually calls for 1.5 pounds. So I just bought the 3 pound, it was on sale, and I knew I could use that later. Another thing you could do is you could always buy the big bag if you think you'll use it, and then freeze the other half. So you don't have to use it within that same week, but if it's on sale, it's a better deal for you than if you were to buy just the 1 pound or the 1.5 pounds. Then definitely, go for the bigger size, especially something like meat that you think you will use. Save that money, because we talk about trying to save a little bit of money in the grocery store as well. So I'm gonna let that start to cook up a little bit, and then we'll see you guys back when it's nice and brown.
Getting a new car or truck doesn't have to be difficult or expensive. Just let Performance Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram swap keys with you. Bring in your current vehicle, we'll swap keys and get you into a new car with Performance Peace of Mind lifetime powertrain warranty for the same or less than you're paying now. We've got a lot full of vehicles to choose from, and there's never been a better time to shop than to start something new sales event. It's about performance, and performance is taking care of you.
Many things have been stolen away during this time of uncertainty. No crowds to cheer on their favorite teams. Applause and pageantry have been stripped away. Thieves are looking to make your home empty and silent. Star Communications has the answer you are looking for. Security by Star. Automation and affordability, along with friendly service, makes for a security choice that is sure to keep your family cheering.
All right, so our ground turkey is done. I've got it on low at this point, but pan's still very warm. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna add in some of our other ingredients. So the first thing that we have is what's called liquid smoke. When I first read this recipe, I was a little bit hesitant to make it because I was like, what is that? It's not in my pantry. I didn't want to go out and buy something special. But actually, I've made a couple recipes with this, including some barbecue, and it gives such good flavor. I've really enjoyed it. So it's just a hickory smoke flavor and vinegar. It does say molasses and caramel color, but there is no sugar added because you're using such a little amount. So we're just using 1 teaspoon here. I have exactly 1 teaspoon. And I promise that makes all the difference in flavor. You can find this at your local grocery store. It's not difficult to find. So if you're hesitant to make this because of that, I promise you'll be able to find it really easily. And that's our garlic that we had cut up earlier. I'm gonna actually turn this onto the dual side so it won't be so crazy. And then our last thing is just our tomato paste. So we need 2 tablespoons of this. I'm gonna grab a little spoon here. Tomato paste is really good for just kind of creating that nice thick consistency that you don't get with some of your other tomato type ingredients. And then we're just going to stir that up and let it sit for just a minute. And then we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we've got 1 can of tomato paste. And really you want to aim to get the no salt added tomato sauce. So when you're looking for this, this is pretty easy to find, the no salt added in most grocery stores. I got mine from Food Lion. So try to aim for that no salt added to just reduce the amount of sodium that we're eating. We're not adding a ton of sodium really with anything else. Tomato paste is hard to find the no salt added, but there's only 1%, 15 milligrams of sodium in that anyways, so it's not really high in sodium as it is. There we go, now it's finally calming down a little bit. All right, and then we're gonna add our other ingredients, which is some Dijon mustard. So the recipe actually calls for a grainy Dijon mustard. I didn't have that. So guess what? That's okay. We're just gonna use what we've got. This is just the regular savory Dijon. And we also need 2 tablespoons of this. If you don't even have Dijon, I think regular yellow mustard would be okay as well. You don't need to go buy a bunch of stuff for this. All right, and then we've got our seasoning. So we have some chili powder, paprika, and crushed red pepper. So for our chili powder, we're gonna do 1 whole tablespoon. Just sprinkle that in there. And then we just need 1 teaspoon of paprika. I had a friend who I was trying to get to make this recipe, and she's like, I just have never liked Sloppy Joes. She was very anti-Sloppy Joe. I was like, this is not your traditional Sloppy Joe recipe. So if you're a little hesitant because of that, I encourage you to try it. I promise it's delicious. That was just a little bit of crushed red pepper. That is optional. If you don't like a lot of heat, you can leave that out. I probably just did a pinch in there to give it some spicy flavor. And then our very last ingredient, actually we have one more. We have some brown sugar, and that is 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And then we're adding a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Trying to get some of our spices mixed in here. So apple cider vinegar, we have 1/4 cup of that. And that is it. So once you get everything in there, you're just gonna let that kind of sit and marinate for about 10 minutes on low. So it'll just simmer for 10 minutes and then it's done. I have definitely made this and not waited a whole 10 minutes because we were hungry, we didn't want to wait. So you don't have to necessarily do that step, but I do encourage you to let it sit for just a little bit so that all the flavors will meld together and be really tasty. So we're gonna let this simmer, and then we'll see you guys back in just 1 minute.
Sweetie, will you turn that down, please?
Keep life exciting, even when it's not. Watch TV everywhere from Star Communications.
After completing my contract, I still have to buy out of it? Come on. Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping home secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody trying to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
All right, we have our Sloppy Joe skillet done. So I'm just gonna show you the benefit of you allowing it, to really sit and simmer for 10 minutes is it gets nice and thick. Like I said, I have ate it without waiting 10 minutes because I didn't want to wait that long. But you can absolutely, go ahead and eat it then. But if you don't, it's going to be a little bit more runny versus when you do let it sit, it starts to thicken up just like what you would have with your traditional Sloppy Joes. But it smells so good, it looks tasty. You can see how thick it is, just like what you would think of with a Sloppy Joe sandwich. So what I like to do is I actually like to put it in pita pockets at home. You can absolutely do this on a bun, which is kind of more traditional for your Sloppy Joes. I love these, they're flax, oat bran, and whole wheat pita bread. They're not tasty straight out of the bag, but if you actually toast them, they have really good flavor, and I eat these all the time at home. So you could put them in here, you could put it on a whole grain bun, you could put it on in a tortilla and eat it that way as well. Personally, I like the pita bread the best, but remember, if you're not a fan of whole grain pitas or sandwiches or sandwich bread, you don't have to go that route. So we always say half of your grains should be whole, so you should aim for that half. So maybe you don't like bread, but you like brown rice or you like brown pasta. And so in other parts of your day, you can be getting whole grains in through things like that, or oatmeal or whole grain cereal. So there are other options. Don't feel like you have to choose this if you're just not a fan. I'm not trying to force you to eat things you don't enjoy. Eating should be something that you enjoy, eating foods that you like. So just gonna stuff these. I typically do a little bit of the pepper jack Laughing Cow cheese, which is really, really good in these. Or we've got some cheddar cheese, which we'll use to stuff these with. Now, if you're toasting your pita bread, we tried to do something a little different on set today, which I don't normally do at home. But we took an piece of aluminum foil and stuffed it and then toasted it that way in a toaster oven so that it would hold its shape. You can see this one kind of got a little too toasty and broke, which is perfectly fine. It'll still be good. For your cheese, I think cheddar cheese goes really well on these. Make sure that you're choosing that reduced fat option because that will help to cut back on the saturated fat. And then you could even put this in the oven further and melt that cheese as well. And it would be really good. But this is, like I said, one of my favorite recipes to make. March is also National Nutrition Month. And so the purpose of that is to really promote eating healthy, ways to eat healthier, tips and tricks. So we'll be participating in that this month. So keep a lookout on our extension page, on our Cooperative Extension Facebook page as well. It's Sampson County Cooperative Extension. I'll be sharing all kinds of things on there. And we also have a Cook Smart, Eat Smart workshop coming up in March as well that will start the following week, second week in March. So be on the lookout for that. It's not too late to sign up if you're seeing this on March 2nd. We're still taking applicants or people to sign up until the end of that week. So you can learn other ways to eat healthy, incorporate cooking into your day-to-day, how to make that easy and simple for you to do at home that will yield really tasty recipes that your whole family will love. So I hope that you guys will join us for National Nutrition Month. Stay tuned, and I hope you have a great and healthy day.